It's one thing to squint at a fuzzy video on YouTube and then decide space aliens do or do not exist. And it's another thing entirely to subject those sightings to the same kind of scientific rigor that puts, say, killers in prison. Scott Roeder is that kind of skeptic. He is an evidence expert and crime scene reconstructionist with 33 years of experience and 1,500 cases to his credit. He is the founder of the Evidence Room, a group that assembles specialists in forensic animation, 3D modeling, and motion graphics. He took a close look at the video that was recorded by that family in Las Vegas, and he applied his technology to try to debunk what he calls the entity in the family's backyard.
Pussy.
Time speed real quick. There. Not yet. There. Okay. So let's go back. So we see the head right there. Now look at the bottom too. So you can see that? See how that shadow goes away? Okay. That shadow on the bottom is moving with that head. So the shadow here is moving with this. We are trying to identify what is going on behind the fence in this video from the Kenmore family in Las Vegas, Nevada in 2023. And this character now is sized to scale and has been put into the video as an artifact. So my question to you as an expert in the field of computer animation, video editing, video analysis, how can we be so sure that the original video does not have any artifacts in it adding in these beings?
The key point to notice this it's the lighting. So you can be sure that there is something in the video, because normally when we do digital compositing, there is a way or path that normally you can see in the pixels, because as you know, at the moment to add other elements, make some overlays at the moment to create the compositing, you can see the different in the pixelization and the pixels. But this video has not been altered in any way.
I'm joined now by UFO expert Ben Hansen. He's a former federal agent and now the host of UFO Witness on Discovery Plus.
I'm excited because it took a while, I think, for anyone to get a copy of the raw video. I don't personally have it, but I'm glad that Scott has done this. I don't detect anything overt as a red flag that I would say that made me suspect that it was edited. So I concur with him on that. And it also appears that there is some sort of shadow that's present behind the slats of the fence, which he pointed out. And then you have kind of a head, it looks like, at the top of the fence. Where I kind of feel it might be a jump is people online then started to say, well, this is evidence of a cloaking creature of some sort. There is a lot going on in the video. If you look, there's 2 or 3 different light sources. And anytime you have that happening, you can have a lot of shadows from different angles. So unfortunately, we'll never have the same exact circumstance where we can go back and test it to see what might be causing a shadow effect.
After a review several times and use a special software to track all this motion, vector motion, I noticed that the shadow that you can see over the fence in reality it's in the video. As you can see in my screen,
Right. Yeah. Those are our tracking
tracking point.
points of all things moving in the environment.
Exactly.
I see. So this is how the light is refracting off of the object that's moving. Is that correct?
Right. That's correct. The shadow of the head of this entity, it's in reality in the video.
Some other folks in the field of ufology, and of course, they're not scientists. The people that I was talking to they're journalists and so on, and people are very and also spoke to a Harvard professor, Avi Loeb, who is an astrophysicist, and they always kind of say something of, well, we can't trust anything on video unless they personally capture it. And, I think that what we're able to demonstrate is that's not true. You can analyze a video that you are not the original capture of, or you were not the photographer, you were not the videographer, or you don't even have the original phone. We can take a video and look at whether or not there is an artificial artifact added to it or not. And in this case, we can definitively say, to a degree of scientific certainty, that this entity, this thing in the video, is there in the physical reality in which the Kenmore family is also there. You can clearly see through the slots in the fence that there is a leg motion moving from the right to the left side of the screen. And clearly it is behind there. So this isn't just like a head floating in space. This is a head of that is somehow that does not have full opacity. I think you previously determined that the opacity of the head of the shadow is only at about 33% opacity versus a normal shadow, which would be at 100% opacity, or an object in the screen, which is at 100%. But you were able to determine that this shadow being, or this being in the shadows, possibly creating its own shadow or smoky filter or cloaking technique, is not only cloaking itself from the people there, but cloaking itself from the camera itself, in that it's minimizing our ability to identify pixels inside of that shadow.
Exactly.
There is this one aspect of it, and I'm not sure if our producers can just let the video go, but when they walk in past the gate, something startles them and they freak out. I mean, for lack of a better description, it's not. There's no way this is acting. Actors don't do it this well. Something startles them to the right, and they spin around and they kind of run out, and the video kind of goes, as it would if you were terrified.
It does, and I think that is genuine. If you look, I think they're looking at something towards the back of the yard, and something spooks them, where I feel that it might be a little bit of, I don't know, call it forensic gymnastics, is to say that it was caused by this thing off to the right, because as you can see right there, that shadow appears on top of the fence, but he's not looking to the right. If this was some sort of entity that was like 3 feet away from him, I think that's what would really scare anybody. So that's where you have these theories that people are saying, well, it's partially cloaked, it's fully cloaked, didn't want to be seen, but only the video picked it up. So I don't know about that. I think just based on the video, though, it's great that we have verification that it's not been edited.
I know you talk about confirmation bias as well. Explain to the audience how you think that might be working its way into this as an alternative theory.
Well, if you think about it and go back to the original, the whole background of what just preceded this, is you had this really bright object that streaked across the sky, right? And I do believe that now is a meteoroid, and it may have nothing to do with the family's actual sighting.
Let's look at a compilation of the meteor, allegedly, that crashed in the backyard that night. So this is a compilation of all of the footage with regard to evidence of the meteor. So we've got official dash cam footage from the Las Vegas Police Department. We have several ring cameras. We can see, what people are saying is a fireball. But let's take a look. I've seen shooting stars, and that looks way too big. So now we've got exact time and location. So it looks green on an optical without heat signature. So this is not showing heat. If that was a meteor, it would have a massive heat signature because it's a fireball, right? But there's no heat signature. So now we've got a long wave infrared, and now there's no meteor. So there's no heat signature, but we see the airplane. But now we don't see the airplane, but yet we see
7 hours.
But we see the meteor. Very interesting. Now this is verified footage. We see another view from a ring camera or a security camera. We've got that address. We've been able to identify where those houses are. So it looks like it is coming right into Angel's backyard. Very interesting stuff. I think the most compelling is that there's no heat signature on the meteor. With the heat sensor or the infrared, we don't see anything at all, meaning it's not emitting heat. But I wanted to get a little bit more information visually on how the heat sensors actually work relative to other items. But now here's some additional footage of meteors. You be the judge. Explode through the atmosphere. This one is in Japan in 2020. You can clearly see how a meteor explodes in the atmosphere with a trail of fire. And then this one is a pretty fantastic video, I think, from this morning, Russia, courtesy of a meteorite explosion, showing a meteor and a coming in spot for many was disintegrating through the atmosphere and burning up. There's another one. This is the same Russian meteor. But you can clearly see the behavior of a meteor as it comes in. It has an explosion where it breaks up in the atmosphere. And there's typically no noise with it. And here's one in London that is about the same distance as some of the other ones that we got in Las Vegas, and clearly there's no audio.
This is Chelyabinsk, which was in the meteor shower zone. The explosive light.
Now, on this next one, I find it really compelling with regard to the audio. There is no sound with the meteor, with the shooting stars. You don't hear them, okay? But if you look at the one in Las Vegas, you hear that one. Why?
They believe they saw a light come down to their backyard. There was a lot of light and commotion, noise. And so when they went out to the backyard, they're already adrenaline's pumping. They're hypersensitive to sights and sounds. I'm in no way suggesting that they made anything up, but perception can be skewed now that this is something out of this world we're out to see in our backyard. And then anything that might have a combination of shadows or sights they're not used to, it can be amplified in your visual perception. And that's just a suggestion, but I do feel the witnesses are being credible as far as describing what they saw. And especially look at that reaction when they see whatever it is back there and they come running out of there, and it's affected at least Angel to this day. He still has trouble with what he saw.
Not only did what happened in Vegas not stay in Vegas. It circled the known universe. The frenzy grew when reports surfaced that unknown authorities had afterwards placed cameras around this family's home. The family was driven into hiding, off the grid, out of sight, underground. But 10 months later, the mystery lives on, and looky-loos and alien hunters are still on the prowl. The family posted no trespassing signs, but break-ins have been reported frequently here, as recently as last week at this home. Tonight, a News Nation exclusive. The teenager who made that 911 call is finally speaking publicly at length and laying out exactly what he saw that night and what has happened since. They've had a chance to digest what it is they've been through. They have kept quiet. They are not looking for attention. And yet now you're getting information, especially from this 15-year-old or the 17-year-old, that's pretty alarming.
And I've found out from speaking to Angel Kenmore that life just really has not been all that easy for the past year since they saw that 10-foot tall creature in their backyard right here behind me. For him, he says that he's plain and simple traumatized by it all. He says he can't sleep at night. He's become slightly paranoid. He cries at night trying to make sense, heads or tails, of what exactly he saw that night, playing it back over and over in his head. You can imagine the torment that's going through in his head. But to this day, none of the family has a very good explanation about what exactly they saw that night. But to their credit, they've stayed pretty consistent about the facts and the details. I really grilled him about that, trying to get him to remember as much as he possibly could about that night. Here's a portion of our conversation. What do you remember about that night? What do you remember seeing?
Start again, I guess. We were in the backyard fixing the truck, and then out of nowhere we just see a big light fall down and basically crash in the backyard. And moments after, like a couple seconds after, I saw the big giant creature in front of me. The alien, whatever you guys want to call it. The alien demon, whatever you guys want to call it.
What do you believe it is?
A demon.
A demon?
Yeah.
So maybe that's changed, that once you thought it was an alien, now you believe it was a demon.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it is, only God knows what it was. But I'm thinking it's like something bad, not a good thing.
Was it moving? Was it doing
Yes, it was moving. You could see, like, he was breathing, like he was, like pissed off. Like he wanted to do something.
And he was looking at you and your brother?
He was looking at me, yeah.
Did he say anything?
Mm-mm. So I remember he was growling, like a dog, like he was growling.
When did it end?
As soon as I closed my eyes, I guess. I don't know, I think I was praying or something like that, and they just let me go. That's when I went inside, and, I saw my dad. I saw it too.
It felt like it had a control of your body?
Oh, yeah, I couldn't move. Yeah.
You were paralyzed at the sight of this thing.
Yeah, I couldn't move.
And you were looking at it for 30 or so seconds, and then all of a sudden it was gone?
Yeah. That was pretty creepy.
A lot of people think that that's just hard to believe.
Like I said again, they can think whatever they want.
What do you say to the people who believe that your family just made this whole thing up to try to get attention?
They can believe whatever they want, I'm not doing it for fame. If I did it for fame, I would be on YouTube and stuff like that, doing more videos, but I don't care, guys. I just went on TikTok and YouTube, made my story. That's pretty much it. I made no money off this. I want people to know that I made no money off this. I don't need money. That's pretty much it. They can believe whatever they want.
I bet you hope it doesn't happen to anybody.
Oh, no, hopefully not, no. I hope God, no. Really bad experience. Really traumatizing.
And actually, I don't know what your impression of him was, but when I was speaking to him personally, I was really struck by how confident and authentic he was about his memories of that night. There's a lot of people obviously out there in the world that would make up ghost stories in order to chase any sort of clout or fame. But to me, Angel came across as somebody who truly believed that he saw something that night in that backyard right here behind me.
Yeah, Alex, he didn't really seem to have canned answers either. So if this was all a big ruse, he's either a really, really good actor, I mean, Meryl Streep quality, and, he certainly didn't script it, didn't seem to plan out answers, at the grasp. I do want to ask you about the family. This is the 17-year-old finally talking at length about his experience. And boy, did he ever add some details there, that what he saw seemed to be angry and breathing heavily, with growling, looking right at his brother and him, and that he felt frozen, which is an account we've heard from other people who have felt that they've seen something out of this world before, that they've been frozen and unable to move. What about the family? Does the family back him?
Yeah, the family does, although they're much less willing to go public about it. I spoke to his mom, who basically said that she has no interest in speaking about it because she just feels differently than Angel. She feels like nobody in the world is going to believe her. Angel, on the other hand, while certainly not trying to publish his case widespread, he feels the need to share it because he wants the world to know what he saw, and also he wants the world to know that his family is doing okay and moving forward. In general, the family wants the spotlight off of them. Take, for example, all these no trespassing signs. There's at least 4 of them. But at this time, they are just basically saying, look, we don't really want to talk about it anymore, but we still stand behind the things that we saw that night.